Cities and towns across the state line prepare for the winter storm. 4 city officials say they're focused on keeping busy streets safe.
Plus, the man convicted of murdering a 17-year-old Winnebago County girl decades ago is up for parole. Family members say they're forced to relive their grief every few years when he has the chance to get released.
And a local nonprofit expands its footprint to combat addiction. Organizers say the improvements come as the demand for treatment rises.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson.
Winter weather warnings and advisories are in place all throughout the state line.
Let's check back in with Candace for how much snow we are expected to see over the next 24 hours. Candace, we've got a couple of waves.
Yeah, we'll see the first kind of round of snow move in later tonight and then throughout the overnight. Second one coming in mid to late morning before tapering off, but the impacts will be felt not only through the overnight tonight, but also throughout the day tomorrow. So evening hours tonight going to stay dry. Snow expected to move in after about 8, 9 o'clock, and this will be working in from the south, increasing in intensity. That's that snowfall rate where we could have rates as high as about 1 inch or so per hour. Could see even 2-inch per hour snowfall rates further to the south. Now that'll be through roughly about a 3 to 4 hour window, so it's not going to be the entire night, but you can imagine in areas that do pick up that 1 inch or so snowfall rate, how quickly that will accumulate. So that is going to have an impact on that Tuesday morning commute. Same thing going into Tuesday afternoon and evening. Now we do have a winter weather advisory for southern Wisconsin. That will begin tonight and run through tomorrow morning. Winter storm warning in effect for all of northern Illinois. This begins tonight and will run through Wednesday morning. So here comes the snow. When we look at the first next couple of hours, we've got some light snow beginning to move in. Again, that'll pick up in intensity once we get to midnight. We may see a little break in some of the higher snowfall rates just before sunrise tomorrow, but I think as that low pressure system moves in, we're actually going to see that pick back up mid to late morning tomorrow. And again, intensity, snowfall rates expected to pick up during that time, and that'll take us through the noon hour going into Tuesday afternoon before that does taper off just a bit once we get into Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. Winter storm warnings for everyone go into effect tomorrow morning and will run through Wednesday morning. Coming up a little later, we'll look at the potential snowfall totals and when we could see that next round of snow move in. That is coming up here in the First Warn forecast a little later.
Thanks, Candace. We'll see you in a bit. The city of Rockford is getting ready for the snow. Plow crews are on standby for when the winter weather rolls in. The Public Works Department asks people to be patient when driving during the storm and to give plows plenty of space. Contractors are also ready to clear residential streets. Rockford's Public Works Director says the department takes a focused approach.
Our snow and ice strategy is certainly to ensure that the main roads that see the highest traffic volumes and the highest speeds are treated first. So our crews, our 23 trucks will be en route on the main streets, salting and plowing throughout the duration of the storm. And then as we see about 2 inches fall in our residential streets, we would call our contractors in.
Odd even parking goes into effect tonight at 8. All cars should be on the even side of the street. At 8 tomorrow morning, you need to move your car to the odd side. We've got all the information you need to know about the first major snowfall of the season. That includes road conditions and any snow emergencies and closings. You can get those updates on our website, mystateline.com, and the First Warn weather app. In 1977, 17-year-old Louise Betts was kidnapped from Loves Park, raped, and murdered. A court convicted Curtis Brownell for her death. A year later, he got 100 to 300 years in prison.
Brownell is now up for parole again. Today, Drea Baroni spoke with Louise's brother, and Drea, he and many others are working to make sure he never sees freedom again.
Mimi, Eric, Gary Betts lost his sister Louise almost 50 years ago, but still has no closure. That's because her murderer is up for parole every 3 to 5 years due to a change in the state's terms back in 1978. Brownell has tried to do so 15 times since his original sentencing and is up for parole again next month. But Gary Betts and his family have found a way to do what they can to keep Brownell behind bars. That's through a petition signed by thousands.
The parole board obviously knows that the family doesn't want him out, but when they see the fact that the community doesn't want him out either, that they believe that he should be kept where he is, serving his sentence. That speaks volumes to them. They've told us that over the years.
That petition has over 1,500 signatures, but the Betts family is still looking for more support. I'll have more on just how important those signatures are coming up later at 6. Mimi?
All right, thanks, Drea. One person is sent to the hospital after a shooting in Loves Park. A little before 11 last night, Loves Park police were called to the area of Kelly Lane and Mabel's Way for shots fired. At the scene, police found a person suffering from a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. That person was taken to a hospital for treatment. Officers say Ali Al-Saidi of Rockford is the man responsible for the shooting. He's been charged with aggravated battery with a firearm. Al-Saidi is being held in the Winnebago County Jail.
A local nonprofit improves its facilities to treat addiction. Rosecrance Behavioral Health is expanding its Griffin Williamson campus. That's just south of Rote Road on University Drive. The expansion is the result of a rising need for adult and young adult treatment services. 40 residential bedrooms are being renovated. That's around $750,000. Rosecrance Health Network's president says it's rewarding to see people improve their lives.
Those who finish our program oftentimes will join our alumni program and support services, and these are life-changing events for individuals, and so the expression of gratitude never gets old. I've been here 30 years, and the letters, the emails, the texts I get from people who have entered into recovery and improved their own individual lives is remarkable and overwhelming.
The campus used to only help teens. Since 2004, the facility treated more than 15,000 kids and teenagers.
Gas prices in Rockford continue to fall. The average price of gas sits at $2.87 a gallon. That's a 10-cent drop from last week and a 35-cent drop from a month ago. The national average sits around $3.03 a gallon. Experts at Gas Buddy say demand for gasoline is slowing, which could bring the national average below $3 a gallon. But analysts warn that a drop in prices now may lead to a sharp rise in costs ahead of spring. The U.S. Secretary of Defense has been in the hospital since the start of the new year.
Up next, he faces criticism from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle for keeping his condition secret.
And coming up at 6, community leaders use a national holiday to bring awareness to mental health. Organizers hope their address will lead to a safer community for all.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team with Eric Wilson, Mimi Murphy, Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has been in the hospital since the start of the new year. There's some confusion surrounding what happened to him.
He's also facing intense scrutiny over the secret hospital stay. Washington, D.C. correspondent Rashad Hudson has more.
Lawmakers are slamming Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin for not telling them he was in the hospital for days.
It's pretty shocking on this.
Oklahoma Republican Senator James Lankford says not only did Congress not know, but the White House was left in the dark too.
When you're the Secretary of Defense, you need to make everyone aware that you're actually going to be out of pocket.
Austin was admitted to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center last Monday. The Pentagon said he had complications from a previous elective medical procedure.
We're at a time of a lot of turmoil internationally, and suddenly have the Secretary of Defense, more than just a matter of wasn't there, actually sent over false information saying I'm working from home.
Austin's hospital stay comes as major wars are playing out in the Middle East and Ukraine.
I do wish that it had been disclosed.
South Carolina Democratic Congressman Jim Clyburn called the lack of transparency concerning, but defended Austin's character.
He has been a tremendous military man in this country.
Clyburn says, like any other American, the Defense Secretary's medical information should be protected.
Now, we have some laws in this country, the HIPAA laws. Keep us out of people's medical businesses.
Several Republican lawmakers are now calling for Austin to resign. But the White House says President Biden has full confidence in his Pentagon chief. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
A winter storm is expected to hit the state line tonight.
After the break, Candace breaks down the snow totals we'll see over the next couple of days.
Now, your first warn weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Well, it's kind of the calm before the storm as we've got a couple of rounds of snow expected to move in. First beginning in the next few hours, but that will pick up a little more in intensity late tonight and continue into early tomorrow morning. Things are fairly quiet out there as we take a live look with our SkyTrack camera up in Beloit this evening, but we've got a couple advisories and warnings I want to break down for you. Winter weather advisory goes into effect late tonight for Green Rock and Walworth counties, and that will run through 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Winter storm warning for all of northern Illinois begins late tonight and will run through Wednesday morning. That advisory for southern Wisconsin will then turn into a warning, and that will also run through Wednesday morning. Bottom line, we've got some impactful snow coming up, the first of which will begin to move in after about 9 o'clock here tonight. Already that storm system really beginning to take shape here across the central and southern plains. You can see the moisture working in around that while you've got rain and thunderstorms down to the south, the colder side of this allowing that snow and some heavy snow to mix in. So visibility has been dropping here across parts of the Midwest and back through the plains, and that can be expected as that snow moves in, especially a couple hours after that snow begins to work in. So let's put this all together because it does get pretty messy here tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. Notice this is 8 o'clock tonight. We're starting to see that snow move in from south to north. This will continue on that northward trend, picking up a little more in intensity as we get closer to midnight. Now earlier I mentioned we could have some snowfall rates as high as 1 to maybe even 2 inches per hour. That higher snowfall rate, that 2-inch per hour snowfall rate, I think will be focused a little more to the south. And honestly, I would not be surprised if we do get a little lightning potentially with that, just given the amount of moisture, the warmth, and the lift that is taking place out ahead of that low. This will continue. We may see a little lull in some of the heavier snow just before sunrise tomorrow. But as that low pressure system moves closer to us, I do anticipate the snow to pick back up in intensity after about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I think the worst of it is going to come from that time frame through early afternoon, so about 2-3 o'clock tomorrow before the intensity tapers off, but you still have the wind, so the impacts of that are going to be felt through tomorrow evening. Notice this is 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I think travel during this time will be somewhat difficult, especially with that heavier snowfall coming down and the visibility dropping down as well. 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're still dealing with the snow. It begins to taper off after about 9-10 o'clock tomorrow. By midnight tomorrow night, the snow comes to an end. A couple of flurries will linger into Wednesday, but we hold on to the cloud cover and we still have that brisk northwesterly wind throughout the day on Wednesday. So let's look at the impacts here, because if you have to be out the time frame between about 3 o'clock tomorrow morning through roughly about 9 o'clock tomorrow evening, that's where we could see the highest impact, especially on the roads. Another thing, guys, I want to mention with this snowfall, it is going to be a heavy, wet snow. So we're talking about snow to liquid ratios that are going to be under our average 10-to-1. That means that's going to be very difficult to shovel. It's going to be difficult to move. That's what we kind of call a heart attack snow. So you just got to be careful with this. It gets sloppy late tonight, and I think that'll persist throughout much of the day tomorrow. So if you don't have to go anywhere, good idea just to kind of stay indoors until that storm system passes. We're looking at generally about 5 to 10 inches of snow between tonight and through tomorrow night.
Good advice, and thanks for keeping an eye on things for us, Candace.
Wisconsin next with sports. The Packers are making playoff plans and a road trip to Texas.
And the Bears enter what some people consider the biggest offseason in the franchise's history.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
How ironic that the Packers couldn't get into the playoffs last season with Aaron Rodgers, but they're in this season without him. That decision to draft Jordan Love in 2021 is looking brilliant right now. Packers seem to have pulled off another rebuild on the fly thanks to that move. Love has looked great in recent weeks. He finished the regular season 7th in the league in passing yards, 2nd in touchdown passes, and 9th in quarterback rating. Now we'll see what he can do with the playoff pressure on this Sunday in Dallas. Matt LaFleur says this game is another big step in the development of Love and this very young Packers team.
It's going to be just a great experience for our guys to go through this, and we're looking forward to the challenge. We got a great opponent at their home stadium, and they're playing some really good football right now.
That game Sunday in Dallas will kick off at 3:30. The Packers are the number 7 seed in the NFC, the Cowboys the number 2 seed. And you can see that game on Fox 39. And the Bears are left with another bitter taste in their mouths following a 10th straight loss to the Packers and another non-playoff season. But they are a lot further ahead than they were last year at this time. At least they have some legitimate star players. Montez Sweat and DJ Moore are 2 of them. Sweat transformed the Bears' defense after arriving in Chicago, and Moore just put together the 4th best season ever by a Bears receiver. That despite some bad play calling and Justin Fields missing 5 games. Moore says this season was a disappointment, but he can see better things ahead for the Bears.
It stings, but you always got next season to piggyback off of what you did this year. We had 7 wins, so why not go for? Let's put a high expectation. Let's go 10 plus. So for next year, and finish our games better and be a better team.
Should the Bears stick with Justin Fields? Is it good enough to lead a team to a Super Bowl? It's almost impossible to answer that question when he was handcuffed by having only 1 good wide receiver and a well below average offensive coordinator. Whether Fields stays or gets traded, the Bears have to replace Luke Getsy. How would you like to see Ron Rivera back in Chicago as the Bears defensive coordinator? He's been fired by the Washington Commanders on the heels of their 4-13 season. Rivera was the Bears' defensive coordinator the last time they went to the Super Bowl in 1986. Oh, there's a football game tonight that should have all of us amped up, and that game might feature another future Bears quarterback, or coach, I should say. Jim Harbaugh, the ex-quarterback, and Michigan will take on Washington for the national championship of college football down in Houston. The Wolverines will be going after their first national championship since 1997 when they tied Nebraska. That was before college football had a playoff. That's sports. We'll be right back.
We got some significant snow coming up here over the next 24 hours. You can follow it all with the First Warn Interactive Radar brought to us by Rockford Auto Glass and More. Snow moves in later tonight after about 8-9 o'clock. That'll pick up in intensity. We're looking at about 5 to 10 inches area-wide between tonight and through tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Candace.
And thank you for spending some of your time with us. Stay safe.